Hello. Welcome to this week's CATS team live stream, where everyone should know by now that CAT stands for Curriculum and Technical Support.
Woohoo.
Hey, you who are about to leave right now, don't leave yet. Don't click that X. Stay here for just a minute. Listen to these 3 reasons why you need to stay for the whole live stream this week, okay? Number 1, you are going to learn about a session at our virtual conference tomorrow that we have never done before. So you're going to want to hear which session that is. Number 2, a sneak peek at the resources of the week in our newsletter. And number 3, we are going to have a good discussion on the most valuable part of Chapter 11 in the curriculum. So stick around. Don't click that X. You're going to want to hear all this stuff. My name is Chris Powell. This is Brooke Owen. How are you doing today, Brooke?
I am doing good. How are you doing, Chris?
Very well. Thank you for asking. If you're new here, we support Get Focused, Stay Focused programs that use the Career Choices Series curriculum. And we hold these weekly live streams every Wednesday so we can give you that little extra support that you might need for your program. So as you saw on the screen, please type in your name and your location in the chat so we can see who's here today. And feel free to interact with us as much as you want. We would love to answer your questions and hear what's on your mind. So let's get going, shall we?
Absolutely.
Okay, the news minute. As I mentioned briefly at the very beginning, our Get Focused, Stay Focused virtual conference is tomorrow, March 10th. It's all day. So we will have the link for you at the end in the comments. Make sure you register for that. Even if you can't attend live, make sure you register for that, and then you can have access to all of the sessions after the conference. But we'd love to see you there live as well. There is a session that we are holding that we have never done before. People have asked for it, and we finally have what we need to do that session. Do you know what the magic 4-letter word is about that session, Brooke?
Well, that depends on how you pronounce it. Now I'm all self-conscious. Data.
Data or data, however you want to say it. We all know what it means. We have data. I'm going to say data. We have data on our programs. There is a nationally known researcher by the name of Dr. Russ Rumberger from the University of California system, and he did an evaluation on 10 of our schools who use the Career Choices curriculum. So he, along with Dr. Karen Miles, who is the executive director of the Get Focused, Stay Focused nonprofit, they are going to present together on the data that was found in the evaluation. And as you can tell by our smiles,
This is
lots
huge.
of good data. Yeah, so please make sure to check out that session. If you can't attend live, like I said, register for the conference and you'll be able to access that session afterwards.
Yes.
So pretty exciting stuff. And then, did you want to say something, Brooke?
Yes, so the next thing I wanted to plug in our news minute, please, if you have not gone to this site and filled out this survey, do it. This is our Career Choices Medal School intent to apply. So this lets us know that you're interested in the medal program. Maybe you don't have the time to commit to it all the way through this year, but at least submit this, see what the process looks like, and at the very least, let us know that you're there and you might be interested in earning a Career Choices medal.
Yes, we would love to talk to you about it. Love to give you that extra support you need to earn a medal. We have a little bit of bad news. We are not going to have a live stream next week. I will be out of town, unfortunately, and I know Brooke would love to do this all on her own, but we're going to give her the week off as well. So no live stream next week. There will be a link to an old live stream that you can still watch. But because we're not going to be here next week, we wanted to highlight 2 resources of the week very quickly. One that is in the newsletter this week, and one that will be in the newsletter next week. So the one this week, it's all about standards for incoming freshmen at the University of California system. And so, as we know, most colleges and universities, they get more applicants than they have spots for. And so this little article just highlights what the University of California system looks for in those applicants. So really good information to pass on to your students, and let them know what kind of things they should be focusing on to make sure that they stand out in their college applications. One that stood out to me was your senior year in high school. What kind of classes are you taking in your senior year? Can they tell you're just kind of taking it easy, just kind of gliding through to the end, or are you still challenging yourself? So, really good article on what you can do to stand out as you're applying for different colleges and universities.
Yeah, especially, and we're going to talk about this more later, but especially in this world where so many things are controlled by algorithms, it's so important to know that stuff.
Definitely, yeah. So, make yourself stand out, is what I got from that article. The one that we really want to focus on is the one from next week, and that is this really short article from Inc.com. Um, Elon Musk. Everyone knows who Elon Musk is. If you don't, then I don't know. Maybe you don't have TV or internet in your house, but he's always in the news. He is the owner or CEO, whatever, founder of Tesla and SpaceX, two hugely popular companies that are doing well, and they have lots and lots of very highly skilled, high level employees that work for them.
Yeah,
And
they're
so,
known for being able to discover top talent and put them to really good use.
yes, and so Elon Musk does a lot of things, that are not mainstream, and so um, even in his interviewing process, he kind of goes on his own little path there, and talks about the two things that he does to find that top talent for people to work for his company. And you'll see there in the title, he uses the two hands test. So the first one is firsthand experience, and the second one is hands-on testing. And so instead of just looking at all the job applications and sorting them out by what degrees they have, he doesn't even really look at degrees. Like, a lot of his employees don't even have degrees. He looks at what their experience is, and then he gives them some sort of little test during the interview process to see how they pass that test that he gives them during the interview. And that's where he's finding all of his top talent.
Yeah, and I love the fact that his tests are specifically tailored to the job that he's hiring for, and they're things that this person is going to be encountering on the job, if not every day. Things, maybe it's a more challenging item that they're going to have on the job, but something that is 100% applicable to the job that they're applying for.
Exactly. I love that part because going through the interview process, there's a lot of strange interview questions out there. Some that have no relevancy to the job at all. One example from when I used to be an elementary school teacher, and I had someone interviewing me who said, "If you could be a flower, what flower would you be and why?" And I'm like, why do I need to answer this right now? So I love his methods on how he finds top talent. So this article is really good if you're an interviewer, especially, but it's also good to pass on to your students so they can see the things that they need to be prepared for as they're going through job interviews.
Yeah, it's really important to be able to understand the changing market now.
Yeah.
Because hopefully that we will see a lot more people following Elon Musk's style. Spencer said, sounds like a good match for a skills-based education plan. Just stop getting ahead of me, Spencer. But yes, yeah, that's, that really is what he's focusing on, is what are your skills? What have you spent time doing and developing those skills? And can you actually put those skills into application? Like, that's really what finding out if you can do a job is all about. Not entirely sure where an interview, where a flower comes into that process, but
Yeah.
yes.
I don't even know what I said to that question. I can't even remember.
How do you answer that correctly? Like,
Yeah, who knows what they were looking for there.
A daisy because it looks good on the classroom wall. I don't
Yeah,
know.
sure.
Anyway.
All right, so let's get on with the content for this live stream this week.
Yes. So, as an introduction today, I'm actually going to be addressing something that I got an email about. If you notice in the scrolling title, today we are going to be discussing chapter 11 or 14 on pages 258, 259, or page 326 in Career Choices and Changes. So, for those of you who are not familiar with our curriculum, a little bit of crash course, this is our Career Choices textbook. This is our textbook that is predominantly designed for high schools. So this book has 12 chapters. So the topic we're going to be discussing today will be in chapter 11 in this book. This book, maybe, if I can get rid of my instructor's guide. This book is our college textbook. So this is Career Choices and Changes. Now, the two books are very, very similar in content. The college book has 3 extra chapters that are more applicable for college age students or adult students. So we have Career Choices and Career Choices and Changes. Chapters 1 through 10 topically are the same. There are some differences with reading level and some examples, changing some examples to make them more applicable for adults as opposed to high school kids. But they have all the same topics, all the same activities from chapters 1 through 10. Chapters 11 and 12 in this book are chapters 14 and 15 in this book. So chapters 11, 12, and 13 in this book are different. They're extra. Most of our high school programs that use this book tend to skip those 3 chapters because they're geared more towards people who are in the workforce or going to be entering the workforce immediately. And most of our high school students hopefully are not going to be actually entering the force. They're going to have time to be able to do job shadowing and that sort of thing. So that's the difference between the two. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Hopefully that was clear.
And one thing to point out is that a lot of our high schools who do use the Career Choices and Changes are doing so because of dual enrollment. They're working with colleges, and so the colleges need the high schools to use that college version of the textbook.
Yes, that's a major reason we have them use. And depending on your agreement with your college, I got an email question about this yesterday too. Depending on your agreement with your college, you may need to have those 3 chapters included in your curriculum. So make sure you understand what the dual enrollment agreement is. If you don't have a dual enrollment with your local college, reach out. We'd love to talk to you about that because it's very important. So now we're actually going to get on to the actual topic, which is job interviews. Yay. We all love talking about job interviews, right? So, something that's really important about this chapter is you can do it about the specific activity is you can do it as simply or as complex as you want. We have schools that all they do is they take the content from the book and they have students use their 10-year plan to fill out the answers to the questions that are in the book and other interview questions that they fill in, and then they move on. So teaching students how to apply what they're using in the classroom to an interview setting and how to answer questions intelligently. Unfortunately, I don't know that there's anything in the 10-year plan that's going to be able to help you with the flower question.
Yeah.
But hopefully nobody is using that anymore. So we also have schools who have allotted the time to be able to bring in outside resources. And they have, and we'll talk more about that once we get into the instructor's guide and the online class agenda ideas, but they have built out one of our schools does like a 2-week event where all of the freshman class goes through interviews, and it's a huge event that's combined, I believe, with their career fair. So while the career fair is going on, they're also conducting interviews. And some of our schools go so far as to have a round of mock interviews, and then they have a round of legitimate interviews that they've set up with different people from the community who own companies who then may or may not offer these students job positions. So that's the two extreme different ways you can teach this. Is you have the students fill out the answers to the questions and practice, or you can do like some of our schools and have a massive event, which actually turns into a real hiring event. Now there is a lot of in between on that in that spectrum. So we're going to talk more about the in between now. So the first thing we're going to discuss is our online class agendas. So this is our online class agenda. If you notice, it says chapter 14. Okay. Our online class agendas align with the chapter numbers in career choices and changes. We are working on a few that align specifically with career choices, but remember, those chapters are topically the same. They've got all of the same activities. So, one of the things in the online class agenda that I really liked this week was that suggestion about using the 10-year plan summary page to answer their interview questions. Because so many times, especially even for adults, but especially with kids, if you start presenting them interview questions, it's just like, you know, or they give you like a one word answer.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, giving the students a chance to write down the questions or the answers to the question ahead of time from work that they've already done.
Yeah, it makes it relevant. Like a lot of times students ask, why are we doing this? You know, it doesn't matter what class they're in. Why are we doing this? When am I ever going to have to use this? This is a perfect example of like real world relevance.
Yeah. And I'm going to stop for a second and give Spencer a shout out from our YouTube. He left a comment that the online class agendas are super helpful. They are. Really quick look at these can give you all sorts of engagement ideas. And there is one other one. I really like the group brainstorm idea number 5. Ask me anything about job interview questions. So putting the students either in small groups or a circle, depending on the size of group that you've got, and just brainstorming what kind of questions that could come up and what the answers are to those questions. And there's all kinds of games that you could come up with this, right? You know, it's I really love the idea of doing like a round robin where you have one student come up with an interview question and the next student answer it, and then you have that student come up with an interview question and the next student answer it, and you go around. Obviously, you need to do this after the students have gone through the basic concept of what these questions should look like.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, just fun stuff like that. It doesn't have to just be paperwork. So many teachers get caught up in the fact that this program is so big that they just kind of just do the activities the way they are, and that's it. And it's bare bones, and it can get really, really tedious for students. So taking that break, taking that time to just do that fun little interactive activity, it's still really important for the students, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and if they get stuck thinking of ideas for questions, we have that list in the curriculum of very common interview questions. So yeah, just have them look at that, and it'll get their brains moving.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Deb. Real world relevance. If it's not relevant to their life right now, teenagers do not care.
Yep.
For better or for worse, they don't care.
As the father of 2 teenagers, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, you know that way better than I do. So, next thing we're going to discuss is resources from Our Instructor's Guide. Now, If you're not familiar with the instructor's guide, this is a very large book. It's like half the size of my head, just sideways. Chris knows this better than most people because he spent a considerable amount of time editing it.
Yes.
But the lessons for today and the resources for today are on pages 4-157. And I really want to point this out today because of what we talked about at the beginning with the two different textbooks. So I'm going to attempt to show this right here.
Yep. I can see it. Yep.
So it has career choices and changes, and the workbook and portfolio and what pages you can find those on. Okay. So those pages were specifically for the job applications one, but it was a lot easier than showing you the other side of the book. But if you look at the front of the page, that's what it looks like. So I really, really loved the suggestion in the instructor's guide for this activity. If you don't have the resources to be able to bring somebody in, or say there's a worldwide pandemic going on and you barely, have the option to be in class yourself, there's a suggestion to have the students record themselves answering interview questions. This is huge now. Ever since COVID, a good chunk of interviewers, the very first thing they ask for is send us a video answering these 3 questions. They don't even want to see your resume until they hear you answer those questions in person on video. It's crazy.
Yeah. And kids love video content these days, so it's a perfect activity to do with teenagers these days. They're all about the video content.
Yeah, it's huge. And getting used to as we know a lot better than we care to at this point, right, Chris? Getting used to being on camera, getting used to not looking at Chris's face, but actually looking at the camera.
I'm catching myself doing that again. So, hello there.
That and all of those little itty bitty things make such a huge difference when you're recording when these students are going to be recording for job interviews. There's a really big difference between talking to the camera and looking at it like this and talking to the camera and looking at it like this. Mm-hmm. I literally moved my eyes maybe 6 inches, which is about the length of a normal phone. So knowing which end of the phone to look at when you're recording is so important. And also giving the students that don't have access to their own devices the opportunity to figure out, okay, how can we solve that problem? Where can you find a location where you can record? And who do you know that you could borrow their phone? Who do you know, that maybe there's a computer in the student computer lab that has a camera?
Mm-hmm. Or most high schools have an AV club, with audio and video equipment that they're happy to loan out.
Yeah, so even if you don't have a lot of resources, if your students don't have a lot of resources, helping them understand how they can overcome those barriers is so important. And I just realized how long I've been talking today.
We thought this was going to be a short one.
I did. But I'm really, really passionate about this because so many of these skills are not taught in a lot of high schools and a lot of colleges. And they are gatekeeping for higher end jobs. A lot of jobs like Elon Musk's company, they're not looking for degrees anymore. While that is still very, very important, a lot of jobs are looking for, can you navigate how to apply for this job? And it's not like these things are hard, but if you haven't exposed the students to it, they're going to be at a disadvantage when they're looking for jobs.
Definitely. And just to touch on that really quick, in that Elon Musk article, it talks about, the soft skills that are typically hard to get out of applicants in their interviews. So like you said, degrees are still important, but now think of it, and instead of just saying, I got a degree at this institution, tell them what you did to get that degree. How were you creative in getting that degree? How did you show grit in getting that degree? Talk about those skills that you built along the way while you were getting the degree, and it'll make your interviews so much better.
Yeah. Tanya said, referring to our conversation earlier, knowing what's in it for me helps with motivation. So this activity could be really, really boring if you're just filling out the answers in the textbook. Helping students understand that you're trying to help give them a leg up when they decide to go into the workforce, so that they know how to apply for higher end jobs. And obviously stating in a way that's a little bit more entertaining than what I just did, or engaging than what I just did, but helping students understand that you're doing this for them. This is super important material. So thank you, Tanya. Spencer said that he was never taught about job interview skills in high school. And can you, sorry, Spencer, I just read that, and that's so traumatizing to me that you learned it through trial and error during interviews. Me too. I think most of us did.
Yeah.
Spencer, I think you're just a little bit younger than me, and it's our generation especially, that we've a lot of trial and error in front of poor interviewers. But how much, I agree with you. It would have been so much more helpful to be able to have this information before you just tried to jump in and get a job. So, really quickly, resources from the Teacher's Lounge. We have several for Chapter 11. Now, going back to the email I got earlier, this particular resource on the Teacher's Lounge lines up with this textbook. So, you have chapters 1 through 12. Now, if you are using the Career Choices and Changes textbook, the Chapter 11 resources align with Chapter 14, and the Chapters 12 resources align with Chapter 15 in the textbook. And Chris, thank you for nodding, because that way I know I said it right and didn't mix it up.
Yep. You said it perfect.
Take a quick look at this. This is amazing. We've got some really great resources from our mentor teachers, and especially the mock interview feedback form by Dr. Ramos. She is amazing, and she's one of our absolutely stellar mentor teachers. And they, at their school at this point, they were bringing in people from the community. And so this is a feedback form for both sides, and how you can help make your program even better. There's also a job application worksheet that kind of simulates what a real job application looks like. And so take a look at this. It's a really valuable resource. And we have one other one that I'm going to include the link for this week. This is one of our videos. It's about the Get Focused, Stay Focused program. And Valerie talks about, this is Valerie, and she talks about our the importance on their campus of this activity and what a difference it made in the students' lives. And I'm just going to tease you with that. So you have to go to the link, which I'll put in the live stream after we're done, and go watch it. I'll also have a timestamp, so you can just watch the section on interviews if you would like, but it is well worth a whole watch if you have the time. Now I can slow down, stop talking like a chipmunk. We're going to go to our Q&A, and while we're waiting for questions, I do want to go to a comment that Tanya made. She said, I had my first job interview at 14 and was flying blind. For those of you who are not familiar with Tanya, she is our vice president of curriculum, etc. Her title's actually a lot longer than that, but she is absolutely amazing, and it does not surprise me that she started into the workforce this young. That makes a lot of sense. But this is not uncommon. Kids are entering the workforce at that age.
Yeah, so Get them started now. Get them started now. What they can expect during a job interview. I think all the resources we've talked about today will help immensely.
Yeah. Just in case you would like, here's a visual to that link that we're going to send you of that video talking about that school's implementation of the job interviews, and it will be in the comments as well. Again, if you're watching this after the fact, please say hi. Let us know that you watched. We will interact with you after the fact. And
don't forget to register for the conference tomorrow.
Yes, so upcoming, I need to change this to say upcoming events.
Oh, yeah.
Big conference tomorrow. Please join us. It's going to be an absolutely amazing day. Make sure that you're registered so that you can watch after the fact, even if you can't attend live. There's a huge data portion that we're both really excited about. Yep. Finally going out there. Oh, yes, and don't forget, Spencer will be there too. So, please join us. It's going to be an absolutely amazing day. We also have a bunch of curriculum support webinars coming up, which we're not going to go into detail on because we're already over time. But go to the link, sign up for the curriculum support webinars as well. And any closing remarks, Chris?
Nope, not today. we won't keep you guys any longer. Thank you just so much for joining us week after week. And don't forget, no live stream next week. So we'll see you live in 2 weeks.
Yes. Thanks for joining us. Have an amazing next 2 weeks, and we'll see you all soon.
See ya.